Hey, what is up guys, MKBHD here, and welcome to the unboxing of the Samsung Galaxy Note FE Fan Edition. I didn't know that's what they were gonna call it, the Fan Edition, but this is a revival, basically a refurbished Galaxy Note 7, but with no 7 anywhere on the packaging. You can also see a little heart on the front there for fans, I guess. Let's go ahead and open it up and see what's different. As far as we know, specs have not changed. So there you go, right up at the top is the Note 7 Fan Edition. The stylus, of course, still there. You get your earbuds here, that's a good sign. And your power adapter and USB Type-C cable. That's all the same as it was with the Note 7. Actually, the phone itself, once you get the stickers and everything off, are exactly the same as the Note 7, same specs, same software, just with a slightly smaller battery. You can see it says Note Fan Edition right there. That's the biggest physical change. And that's pretty much it. Maybe we can take some questions. All right, can we get a Logitech MX Master 2S review? Okay, so I actually have the Logitech MX Master 2S. This gray here is the 2S. This dark navy gold is the MX Master. There's actually also not that much of a difference here. You can see up at the front on the button itself, it says Logi instead of the entire Logitech name. That's actually the biggest physical difference. There's no USB Type-C or any different connector or anything, same capabilities, just better battery life and higher DPI and a new color. So that's also it for that. I think we'll just take a lot more questions. How did you learn to use Final Cut Pro? Did you just practice with the software or did someone teach you? Okay, so funny story actually about the time that I first started using Final Cut Pro. When I was first starting to learn video editing, it was with Camtasia Studio, and I used that because a lot of my videos at that time were screencasts, and that was actually a software used for recording your screen and then editing that screencast. So it had a bunch of features for like you highlighting your mouse and following the cursor around the screen, stuff like that. I switched from that to Adobe Premiere. And I learned a lot in the Adobe world, in the Premiere and After Effects and Photoshop world, all because of that switch. But then I switched from a PC to a Mac. And then we got to the Kobe interview. So we did this interview, and I say we because it was a collaboration actually between me doing the actual interview with Kobe and a behind the scenes video and a lot of help setting that up for my buddies Austin and John. Those two guys are both Mac users who used Final Cut Pro and swore by it and will constantly try to get me to switch to Final Cut Pro. But I was pretty stubborn. I was like, no, I'm doing pretty well with Adobe Premiere, thank you very much. But we're editing our videos, right? I'm editing the interview, I'm cutting between the multiple cameras in Premiere. They're editing the behind the scenes in Final Cut Pro on their Macs. I hit export, they hit export. I'm still exporting, and John's video, his behind the scenes, finishes exporting, and then he watches it back and then catches a mistake and something he wants to fix. He goes back into the editing, fixes that mistake, and then re-exports the entire thing again and uploads it. And I'm still at like 30% done exporting from Premiere. It was at that moment that I knew I had to give Final Cut Pro a shot, and that's when I switched. Honestly, Final Cut Pro is that much faster on Macs because of a bunch of things besides just optimization and quick sync. It's kind of a no-brainer for me at this point. I could always go back to Windows and back to Premiere if I wanted to, but I've learned all my keyboard shortcuts and I am self-taught at a lot of what I do in these editing apps, so it's not really a huge deal. Since you don't use a phone case, how many phones have you actually broken, /damaged, like cracked the screen, etc.? Okay, I've only actually, in my lifetime of reviewing phones, cracked the screen on one, but I have dropped 2 and damaged them. The most recent one I actually damaged was this OnePlus 5. I dropped my OnePlus 5 getting out of the car at practice like 2 days before I was gonna shoot my review, put a skin over it, it was fine. But the last phone I actually broke the screen of was the 2nd gen Moto X when I was like a sophomore in college, dropped it like literally face down on the sidewalk. That actually broke it. But honestly, for the amount of time I've been using phones in my lifetime, that's a pretty decent record of like 2 in 7 years, I think. Okay, this one's in all caps. Why do you always have Bluetooth and location services on all the time? Honestly, it's basically just for the convenience. I have no problem with battery life as it is. You can turn them off to save battery life, but I like walking up to my car and sitting down in the driver's seat and the music is already playing from my phone, just because Bluetooth paired that fast. Every time I want to connect to Bluetooth headphones, it's just one button and they're connected and we go. Same thing with speakers. If I want to go into maps, I don't have to turn on location services, wait for it to connect, get GPS, and then go. I kind of just go. What's your typing speed? If you happen to live in the world of Game of Thrones, whom would you kill first? Honestly, I've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones in my life, so I'm probably missing out. I'm not the best person to answer this question. I mostly watch a lot more YouTube videos than TV shows. When shooting videos, do you draw any inspiration from filmmakers or photographers? Which ones influenced your aesthetic? Really interesting question, actually. I'd like to say I'm building my own style, and a lot of course, inspiration comes from various places, mostly actually also in the YouTube world and the online world. I don't watch that many movies, but you could say a little bit of it comes from other tech YouTubers, other sketch makers. But I do want to link to a video that I think is amazing, coming from a quote from Ira Glass. It's an animation built around something he said often, which is you kind of have your own taste. And people don't tell this to beginners very much, but you don't really have the most confidence in your early work because you have this really nice taste and you don't think your early work lives up to that taste. But you just have to keep working at what you do over and over again and longer so you can build up to that taste and actually satisfy your own crazy what you want to be. So I'm gonna link that below. I think it's really good, and if you're into creative stuff at all, or if you want to be a YouTuber and make stuff, you should watch it. Can you do a review on the Hasselblad? Okay, so those of you who have been following me for the past a little bit on like Twitter or Instagram know that I recently got, or have been using, the Hasselblad X1D. It's insane in a lot of ways, and I understand why you'd want a review of it. But I'd almost feel bad reviewing it because the use that I have for this camera is definitely not the use of the people who would be watching a review of this camera, you know what I mean? This is a really compact, but still really premium handheld medium format sensor. It's a 50 megapixel sensor in this camera. It does incredible things. It's sharp edge to edge with the glass that comes with it. And I will not be using it to shoot ads or billboards or portraits. I'm using it to shoot like photos of smartphones and tablets and handheld devices for Twitter and Instagram. And I'll probably do some other stuff like just random photos of things I see for wallpaper type materials. I started a Flickr account, again, if you want the high resolution 50 megapixel versions of these images, but I'd almost feel bad reviewing it in a way that's kind of like not something anyone can take advantage of. Maybe I'll do a highlight of it, maybe it'll be in Dope Tech, maybe I'll just show you guys what I'm doing with it and why it's so awesome, because I really do think it's awesome. But yeah, I probably won't review the Hasselblad. So I'm gonna stop it right there as far as questions that I answer, but I'm actually gonna turn this around. I've done these Q&As for a while now, and I wanna end it by turning around a question for you guys. And I'm gonna bring it from something I tweeted recently. What would you think, since everyone's making smartphones now, what would you think if Tesla made a smartphone? What if? What would it be into? What would you like about it? What would you expect to see from a Tesla smartphone? I mean, Red's making a smartphone now, why not, right? Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.